I'm literally untouchable in this neighborhood. Those words, spoken by a 19-year-old girl sitting on my stolen ATV at a country club, champagne in hand, 3,000 people watching her live stream. 30 seconds later, 6 unmarked FBI vehicles materialized from the parking lot. Federal agents emerged from landscaping positions, from the server staff, from the golf cart maintenance shed. Agent Martinez's voice cut through the desert evening air like a blade. Brooklyn Thornfield. You're under arrest for federal civil rights violations, grand theft auto, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. I pressed one button on my phone. The remote kill switch I'd installed weeks earlier. My ATV's engine died completely. Brooklyn coasted 30 feet and stopped directly in front of Agent Martinez, surrounded by federal agents, her own live stream still broadcasting every second of it to 3,000 witnesses. But I'm untouchable, she screamed, struggling against handcuffs. My daddy owns this town. Miss Thornfield, Agent Martinez replied calmly. Your daddy's in federal custody too. RICO charges don't recognize local immunity. 3 years. It took 3 years of a disabled veteran being harassed, threatened, robbed, and mocked, to build a trap that ended a $4.2 million criminal empire on live television. This is how it happened. My name is Garrett Steele. Afghanistan took my left leg. The VA gave me therapy recommendations and a handshake. I gave myself something better. 8 months of building. That custom ATV wasn't just a vehicle. It was $12,000 worth of hand controls, custom seat molded around my prosthetic, and every bolt I tightened being a piece of my fractured mind put back together. The rough texture of that custom seat became my throne of independence. Morning desert air carrying creosote and engine oil from my garage, the smell of freedom being rebuilt one wrench turn at a time. 3 years ago I moved to Willowbrook Estates, Arizona. 847 homes. Quiet suburb. Perfect for a broken vet who just wanted peace. Then Delilah Thornfield decided I was a problem. 48 years old. Inherited money. Real estate license. $750,000 corner mansion. She controlled our $300,000 neighborhood like a personal kingdom, and through Thornfield Realty Management, she held our HOA contract, controlling both enforcement and vendor selection. Every emergency repair went to her overpriced contractors. She wasn't just power tripping. She was systematically looting the community. Most neighbors kept their heads down. Retired teacher Meredith Hendricks. Pool contractor Carlos Vega. Working families who couldn't afford legal battles. They'd learned what happened when you challenged Delilah Thornfield. I hadn't learned yet. First week in Willowbrook, a violation notice appeared on my door. Unauthorized vehicle storage. Bylaw 47C. $500 daily fine starting in 72 hours. I read the bylaw. It applied to commercial vehicles only. Mine was medical equipment, ADA protected under federal law. At the next HOA meeting, I said exactly that. Delilah's manicured nails drummed the fake wood table. That sharp clicking still crawls under my skin. Do you know who I am, Mr. Steele? I am this community. Recreational vehicles are recreational vehicles. Period. Then you'll remove your real estate signs from your garage, I replied. Same bylaw violation. Her face flushed red. Board members shifted uncomfortably. Small victory. That's when Brooklyn walked in. 19 years old. Kicked out of college for academic probation, rich speak for partying too hard. $300 designer sneakers squeaked against linoleum as she slumped into a chair already filming me for social media content. Mom, she announced loudly. Is this the weird military guy causing problems? Delilah's smile turned predatory. Brooklyn, meet Mr. Steele. He thinks his disability gives him special rights above everyone else. Whatever, Brooklyn said, not looking up from her phone. Daddy says these people always fold when you apply the right pressure. Walking to my car afterward, I overheard mother and daughter plotting in the parking lot shadows. Don't worry, sweetheart, Delilah whispered. There are other ways to handle problem residents who don't know their place. Brooklyn's laugh was pure ice. I'm literally untouchable around here anyway. Chief Martinez is Daddy's golf buddy and Judge Watson owes us favors. My blood froze. This corruption ran deeper than HOA bylaws. That night I pulled Thornfield Realty's financial records from the county courthouse, public documents that most residents never bother requesting. What I found made my hands shake. Emergency roof repairs billed at $47,000 for work that should cost $12,000. Pool equipment replacements every 6 months. Security services charging premium rates for guards nobody had ever seen. If these entitled parasites wanted war, they'd picked the wrong combat engineer. 3 days after the HOA meeting, Brooklyn made her opening move. Midnight engine revving outside my house. Beer cans hurled at my garage. Tire tracks across my lawn. When neighbors called HOA security, Delilah answered personally. Kids will be kids. No violations occurred. The next morning, Brooklyn cornered me at my mailbox. Nice ATV, soldier boy, she sneered. Be a real shame if something happened to it. 2 weeks later, Delilah called an emergency board meeting, immediate resolution of ongoing vehicle violations, and packed the community center with her personal army. Real estate cronies in the front rows. Country club friends who probably couldn't find Willowbrook on a map. She clicked a projector remote. Photos of my ATV filled the screen, taken from multiple angles inside my garage during my absence. This commercial vehicle violates noise ordinances, disturbs wildlife, and poses insurance liability risks. Pure fiction delivered with courtroom confidence. I stood up and distributed federal paperwork to every board member. VA certification classifying my ATV as essential medical equipment under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act prohibiting discrimination based on disability accommodation. Then I pulled out my phone showing photos of Delilah's own garage, packed with for sale signs, lockboxes, and staging furniture. Enough commercial inventory to stock a real estate office. Bylaw 47C states no commercial equipment storage. Your violation has existed for 3 years, generating approximately $54,000 in accumulated fines. Dead silence. Even Brooklyn stopped filming. Brooklyn couldn't help herself. She jumped up. Are you seriously comparing Mom's successful business to your little toy truck? She contributes to this community. You're just some angry vet playing victim. That toy truck saved my life, I said quietly. While you were partying through college on Daddy's money, that machine gave me independence after serving my country. Her response sent ice through my veins. Whatever. I'm literally untouchable in this neighborhood. Daddy made sure of that. The vote was 4-3 to table pending comprehensive review. Translation: they needed time to figure out how to legally destroy me without triggering federal civil rights violations. Walking to my car, I heard Brooklyn in the parking lot shadows. Want me to start phase 2? Phase 2. They had a plan and I'd become enemy number 1. I drove home through empty desert streets and made a decision. 2 tours in Afghanistan taught me that the best defense is overwhelming offense. And I was done playing defense. Phase 2 started the next morning. 7 automated HOA violation alerts on my phone. All anonymous. All filed overnight. Loud engine noise at 2 a.m., my ATV was locked in the garage. Chemical spills in my driveway, rainwater from washing my truck. Operating an unlicensed repair shop, I'd changed my own oil. Each complaint carried a $500 fine. But every single violation was time-stamped during my VA appointments, with medical staff as witnesses to my absence. Somebody thought they were being clever. By noon, 3 security cameras had been spray-painted black during the night. Professional work. No fingerprints, no witnesses. The work of someone who'd done this before. That evening, Brooklyn's army invaded Willowbrook. 6 motorcycles roaring through quiet streets. Music blasting. Beer cans flying. Burnouts in the community center parking lot. I stepped outside to record the actual noise violation. Brooklyn spotted me immediately. "Look everybody. It's Pegleg Pete still playing with his little toy truck." One of her friends revved his bike. "Should have left both legs in Afghanistan, loser." I kept recording. Then I called HOA security. Delilah answered sweetly. "I'm not seeing any violations tonight, Mr. Steele. Perhaps you're having some stress-related episodes. PTSD can cause auditory hallucinations." The line went dead. That night I installed military surplus trail cameras around my property. Motion activated. Night vision. Hidden in positions no civilian would think to check. They caught their first prey at 3:47 a.m. Through the night vision feed, I watched Brooklyn creep toward my garage, not stumbling drunk, but moving with practiced stealth. She produced professional lockpicks and worked my garage lock for 12 agonizing minutes. This wasn't teenage rebellion. This was premeditated burglary. When my motion flood light blazed, she bolted. But the camera caught everything. Face. Tools. Criminal intent. The next morning Carlos Vega knocked on my door, hands shaking. "Mr. Steele, I saw that girl trying to break into your garage. I've been watching her case your place for weeks. She's planning to steal the ATV." He hesitated. "But I can't testify. Thornfield Realty controls maintenance contracts for 6 developments. She destroys me, I lose everything." Another piece clicked into place. Delilah hadn't just bought political immunity. She'd weaponized economic fear to silence witnesses. Meredith Hendricks had no such fear. At 73, the retired teacher had taught half the neighborhood and was afraid of nobody. She poured coffee in her kitchen and spread out 3 years of meticulous documentation, digital copies, witness statements, recordings of Delilah threatening other residents, Brooklyn's social media posts bragging about getting away with vandalism because Daddy owns the cops. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Steele. Young. Female. Drunk. "This is Brooklyn Thornfield. What do you want?" "I want you to know something, soldier boy. I'm literally untouchable in this town. Tonight was just the warm-up. Tomorrow, I'm taking your precious ATV for a joy ride. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it." "Is that a threat?" "No, Grandpa. It's a promise. I own this neighborhood and you're about to learn what happens to people who don't know their place." She hung up. Too arrogant to realize she'd just confessed to planned grand theft auto on a recorded line. I smiled in the darkness and began planning the most satisfying trap of my life. While Brooklyn celebrated her impending crime, I was in the courthouse basement surrounded by dusty file boxes. The financial records I'd requested told a story that turned my stomach. Emergency roof repairs billed at $47,000 for work that should cost $12,000. Pool equipment replaced every 6 months. The smoking gun was buried in page 47 of our HOA bylaws, highlighted in yellow by someone who'd obviously found this before. All contracts exceeding $50,000 annually require competitive bidding with minimum 3 qualified vendors. Delilah's companies had collected $680,000 over 2 years without a single competing bid. My cybersecurity contact Jake spent a night cross-referencing public records. His findings were devastating. "Garrett, she's running this scam in 23 communities across Arizona. Conservative estimate, $4 million stolen from working families over 5 years. We weren't fighting neighborhood bullies. We were battling organized crime with real estate licenses." That's when Meredith dropped the bombshell that made everything federal. She'd been feeding information to investigative reporter Cassidy Walsh at Channel 12 for months. Cassidy had been building a statewide exposé on HOA fraud, and my case was her missing puzzle piece. My phone rang. "Mr. Steele, this is Cassidy Walsh. Your documentation combined with our 8-month investigation has uncovered the largest HOA fraud scheme in state history. We're coordinating with federal investigators for simultaneous broadcast and arrests." Federal investigators. My stolen ATV had triggered a federal case. "Your job is simple," Cassidy continued. "Let Brooklyn steal it again. We need her caught in the act with federal agents as witnesses. 5 days to orchestrate the complete destruction of the Thornfield empire." Jake arrived with surveillance equipment from a spy movie, military-grade GPS tracker smaller than a matchbox installed in my ATV's frame, hidden cameras throughout the garage from every conceivable angle, and one final modification that would become poetry in motion. "You can start it, stop it, track it, even limit top speed from anywhere with cell service," Jake demonstrated, showing me the remote kill switch app he'd modified from military drone technology. "Brooklyn steals your ride, you're in complete control of where it goes." Wednesday brought unexpected reinforcements. Meredith arrived with 5 neighbors I'd never met, all carrying folders thick with evidence. Janet Torres, whose water damage claim was denied while Thornfield contractors received the repair contract. Bob Mueller, a retired accountant who'd found discrepancies in reserve fund calculations. Sarah Kim, whose violation notices mysteriously stopped after she hired Thornfield's landscaping service. Forged inspector reports. Inflated contractor bids. Email trails showing coordination between board members and Thornfield companies. 3 years of systematic fraud laid bare in black and white. Then I made the performance of my lifetime. Standing in my driveway Thursday evening, voice cracking with fake defeat, I called Brooklyn directly. Loud enough to carry to neighboring windows. "You win. I can't fight anymore. The legal bills are crushing me. I'm selling the ATV tomorrow to pay my lawyer. Tonight's my last ride to the VA." "Ah, poor soldier boy giving up," Brooklyn's voice dripped mock sympathy. "Smart choice. Maybe I'll buy it from you for $10. Charity for disabled veterans." Bait taken completely. That night I performed final equipment checks. Trail cameras active. GPS tracker online. FBI surveillance teams confirmed in position. Cassidy's news van ready 3 blocks away with satellite uplink for live broadcast. FBI agents occupying the coffee shop across from the country club. Jake's voice in my earpiece, all systems operational. Agent Martinez texted, "Mr. Steele. Tomorrow we turn your neighborhood war into a federal victory. Sleep well. Justice comes at dawn." Brooklyn didn't disappoint. That morning she posted an Instagram story of my stolen ATV in their circular driveway captioned, "Spoils of War." Poor soldier boy learned his place. By noon, Delilah was visiting 3 board members' houses with manila envelopes, emergency bribery before the federal net closed. She called an emergency board meeting for that evening, clearly planning to vote to seize my property before investigators could proceed. At 4 p.m., Brooklyn posted a TikTok standing beside my ATV. "Tonight I'm taking this baby for one last joy ride before daddy's lawyers make the crazy vet disappear forever. Want to watch Country Club Sunset? Bring popcorn. #Untouchable life." She announced her intention to commit federal crimes on live social media to tens of thousands of followers. Federal agents were watching every post in real time. Agent Martinez texted immediately, "Perfect. All units positioned for 6 p.m. interdiction." The emergency board meeting was pure theater. Delilah packed the community center with 30 supporters, clicked through slides showing my ATV and garage, and pushed through a 7-2 vote to authorize immediate property seizure. Board members signed the seizure order while federal prosecutors 3 miles away finalized RICO indictments. My phone buzzed with the sweetest notification I'd ever received. Cassidy Walsh going live in T-2 hours. Federal agents have visual confirmation of your ATV at country club. Brooklyn currently bragging to patrons about owning disabled veterans. Walking home through twilight desert air that smelled like sage and justice, I felt something I hadn't experienced since Afghanistan. The calm certainty of absolute victory. The country club gleamed with Friday evening activity. Wealthy families arriving for dinner. Golf carts humming. Brooklyn held court on the clubhouse terrace, my ATV positioned like a throne beneath string lights. A dozen college friends surrounding her, phones recording every moment. "Check this out, guys," Brooklyn announced, revving my engine. "This is what happens when you don't mess with royalty." Her Instagram live feed exploded. 3,000 viewers watching her commit federal crimes in real time, completely unaware that half the servers and parking attendants were FBI agents with recording equipment. Brooklyn cranked up her victory celebration at 6:47 p.m. Want to see something hilarious? She steered my ATV in tight circles. "I'm literally about to take this stolen ride for a victory lap through the golf course. What's that disabled loser going to do? Limp after me?" Agent Martinez's voice in my earpiece, "All units, target is broadcasting federal evidence to thousands of witnesses. Execute interdiction now." 6 unmarked vehicles materialized from various parking positions. Emergency lights blazing red and blue against the golden desert sunset. FBI agents emerged from landscaping, from server positions, from the golf cart shed. 12 professionals who'd been watching Brooklyn's performance for hours. Federal agents, "Stop the vehicle immediately." Brooklyn's face transformed from arrogant glee to pure terror in one heartbeat. I pressed one button on Jake's modified app. My ATV's engine died completely. Brooklyn coasted 30 feet and stopped directly in front of Agent Martinez. "Brooklyn Thornfield, you're under arrest for federal civil rights violations, grand theft auto, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud." The handcuffs clicked shut. "But I'm untouchable," she screamed. "My daddy owns this town. You can't arrest me." "Miss Thornfield," Martinez replied with complete calm. "Your daddy's in federal custody too. RICO charges don't recognize local immunity." Her Instagram live feed continued streaming to 3,000 viewers as their untouchable princess was led away in federal handcuffs. 3 miles away at the Thornfield mansion, the real ending was unfolding. Delilah stood defiant on her marble steps as FBI agents in bulletproof vests loaded boxes of evidence, computers, financial records, 3 years of fraudulent contracts, into federal vehicles. Diamond jewelry glittering under television lights. Still believing money and connections trumped federal law. "I have rights. I know Judge Watson personally." "Judge Watson recused himself this morning," Martinez replied. "Federal judges don't play golf with subjects of RICO investigations." That's when the neighbors came. Carlos Vega emerged from his truck carrying documentation of overcharged repairs. Meredith Hendricks walked across the street with 3 years of evidence files. Janet Torres. Bob Mueller. Sarah Kim. Every resident who'd been silenced by economic threats or political intimidation, coming out of their homes to witness the end. "This woman has terrorized working families while stealing millions of dollars," Meredith said, her teacher's voice carrying absolute authority as news cameras rolled. She weaponized HOA bylaws to silence anyone who questioned her corruption. Delilah's desperation became pathetic. "I built this community. I protected your property values. Without me, this place becomes a ghetto." Carlos stepped forward. "Lady, you charged us $800 for $40 pool filters while calling my family undesirable residents." The crowd's murmur grew into something powerful and righteous as 3 years of suppressed grievances erupted into public testimony. Agent Martinez read the charges: Delilah Thornfield, conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, civil rights violations, and racketeering under federal RICO statutes. The word RICO hit her like a physical blow. I walked slowly forward, my prosthetic clicking against marble steps with each deliberate step. The crowd parted. Television lights illuminated the scene. I stopped directly in front of the woman who'd made 3 years of my life miserable. "Mrs. Thornfield," I said quietly, my voice carrying across the silent crowd. "You told me disabled veterans should know their place." I gestured toward the FBI agents, the federal charges, the complete destruction of her criminal empire. "This is our place. Standing up to bullies who think money makes them untouchable." The crowd erupted in applause that echoed off mansion walls like thunder announcing the end of a 3-year storm. As Delilah was led away in handcuffs, designer heels clicking against concrete for the last time, Cassidy Walsh delivered her closing line for the live broadcast. "Tonight in Willowbrook Estates, we've witnessed the complete federal takedown of a family that believed wealth and connections placed them above the law." 6 months later, Willowbrook Estates was unrecognizable, in every way that matters. Brooklyn received 18 months for grand theft auto, civil rights violations, and conspiracy. Her social media empire collapsed overnight when platforms banned her for disability harassment. Her untouchable status became unemployable toxicity. Delilah got the full federal treatment, 5 years for RICO violations, permanent forfeiture of her real estate licenses, and restitution orders totaling $4.2 million across 23 defrauded communities. Carlos Vega was elected HOA president. His first act established transparent financial reporting and competitive bidding for all contracts. Pool maintenance costs dropped 60%. Emergency repairs ended completely. HOA fees decreased by $40 monthly while service quality improved across every category. But the victory that mattered most wasn't financial. The Willowbrook Veterans Memorial Garden opened on Memorial Day, walking paths accessible to every disability, therapeutic workshop where veterans rebuild lives through building projects. Teaching other veterans to modify ATVs, wheelchairs, and mobility devices became my new mission. Therapy through technical empowerment. The STEAL Act became shorthand for federal protection against disability discrimination in housing communities. Letters arrived weekly from veterans facing similar harassment across the country, sharing stories of HOA bullies backing down when confronted with federal civil rights documentation. My ATV, returned as federal evidence processing concluded, became something I never expected. A symbol. Neighbors stopped me during morning desert rides to share their own stories of institutional harassment, municipal corruption, wealthy bullies who'd wielded money like weapons. "You showed us that fighting back works," Meredith told me over coffee. "Even when they seem untouchable, even when they control all the power, good people can still win." That morning 6 months ago, I'd been a broken veteran hiding in his garage. Today I was Willowbrook's official disability liaison, teaching other veterans to build independence while serving a community that had finally learned to protect its own. Agent Martinez texted the week the STEAL Act passed, "Mr. Steele, your case became the template for federal HOA fraud prosecution nationwide. Thank you for your service. Both overseas and here at home." Here's what Delilah Thornfield never understood about combat engineers. We don't just build machines. We study systems, find their weaknesses, and engineer their complete failure. She spent 3 years building a criminal empire on the assumption that disabled veterans would accept abuse from people with money. She was wrong about veterans. And she was catastrophically wrong about how federal law treats people who steal from disabled Americans. Before your next HOA meeting, request your community's complete financial records from the county courthouse. They are public documents and you have an absolute legal right to them. Look for single-source contractor relationships. Look for emergency repairs that conveniently require the same vendor every time. Look for contracts exceeding your HOA's competitive bidding threshold. If your HOA board member is also a real estate agent managing vendor contracts, that is a textbook conflict of interest worth investigating. The ADA is federal law. It does not negotiate with HOA bylaws. If you are a disabled veteran or disabled homeowner facing HOA harassment about medically necessary equipment, document everything with timestamps, request federal certification from the VA or your physician, and contact the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division directly. How many of you are dealing with a thornfield right now, someone using HOA power to bully residents who can't afford to fight back? Drop your story in the comments. Untouchable is just an illusion that evaporates the moment someone knows the law and has the courage to use it. Subscribe to the HOA Files. Because real power doesn't come from money or connections. It comes from knowing your rights, and refusing to back down.